15-minute race for the Rogue Motorsport Toyota MR2 Championship. Sean Trainer on pole position in the white Mark II, the blue Roadster of Jim Yu next to him. Lights go out, underway they go for 15 minutes of racing. Big grid, more than 30 cars. It's a slightly better start actually by Jim Yu from the outside of the front row. Bit of an unknown quantity for getting this car off the line, I think, for Sean Trainer. He's gone down to 3rd place, and is that Andrew Ruthven that's through into 2nd place then as they stream their way through Redgate Corner for the first time. Do they make it safely through? Touch wood, they have done, and it's actually quite a decent lead this then for Jim Yu. He's got about 4 or 5 car lengths over Sean Trainer. He has got back ahead of Ruthven. He's down to 3rd, and it's Adam Lockwood in 4th as they make their way through the Old Hairpin for the first time.
Yeah, that's right. We should really look at the big moment in the background for 70, which is Gary Coburn, the former single-seater racer, who just avoids the gravel. But yeah, we should look out for Neil Stratton. As you mentioned, he was further down the grid than you'd expect in 10th. I think he struggled on the Grand Prix circuit here at the end of last season as well, so that's not his favourite circuit, but one to look out for coming through the order. But Mew's been caught already, hasn't he, by Trainer as they turn their way through Coppice Corner for the first time. And is the Robert chicane going to be a possibility for Sean Trainer to challenge? We know that car's got a larger engine, the Class B Mark II, than the Roadster of Jim Mew. As they arrive at the chicane now, wheel to wheel, Mew and that lighter car is able to break a bit later on the inside line. So Mew continues to lead from Trainer. Ruthven in 3rd position with Lockwood in 4th.
All the way through the chicane they go then. So Mew from Trainer by just under 4/10 of a second as they cross the timing line that time around. It's close further back, 3 cars side by side along the start and finish straight. But you can see from the distribution of the yellow and the pink squares on the timing tower, for those of you watching on the live stream, there's a good mix of the 2 classes. The yellow is the Roadsters, the pink is the Mark IIs. That's the distinction between the different squares on the timing tower. As the cars head down Craner, because it is still Jim Mew that's ahead, but Sean Trainer and Andrew Ruthven not too far behind him at the moment. A bit further back, we've got a challenge going on there. That's the 15 car, that's Gavin Aldworth, isn't it, who was 13th as he started the lap. He's got Alan Holland, number 26, in the Roadster just behind him.
Going well is Crispin Williamson, isn't he, in his first MR2 Championship race. He's there in 7th. His brother Nick was a front runner in the Championship a few years ago. There's a change for the lead though at Coppice Corner. Sean Trainer goes through ahead of Jim Mew, and they're all bunched up together. Now the top 5. Lockwood clips the grass on the inside. He tries to get alongside Andy Ruthven, the ex-mini racer, but can't quite pass him. But it is Trainer to the front for the first time really in this race since they sat on the grid. So it's Trainer that leads. 2nd is Mew, 3rd is Ruthven, 4th is Lockwood, 5th is Edbrook, and only a small gap back to Tim Herron, who's going well there in 6th.
So Sean Trainer completes lap 2 in the lead of the race. He had 7 wins last season in a different car, of course. Jim Mew down in 2nd place. He's had a couple of wins. Andrew Ruthven was the front-running car in Class B last season, so you've got 3 front-running drivers right together at the start of the 2026 MR2 season. The disputes going on further down the order. That involved the number 12 car of Aaron Laverty, who was 15th. I think just behind him was Gallagher, wasn't it? The next position. Lockwood there, we can see he's in 4th place, just disappearing from view as they head through Schwanzkirch and back up to McLean's once more. This is lap 3 of the race. And Sean Trainer pulling away.
Yeah, he talked to us this morning about how much he enjoys the Old Hairpin in this car, and that is where he's gaining all that time to everybody else. But a big chunk of space between himself and the rest. Martin Collins, we just got a glimpse of in his new car for this season. Able in this car to get involved in battles with others, which must be a good, enjoyable experience for him, because that Class A car was a little bit off sort of the back of the pack, but with this much newer car, he's able to have some good scraps out there. So Trainer's on for a good lap. The lap record in the Toyota MR2 Championship is with Paul Cook, 1 minute 23.29, and he's a few tenths away from that on that lap, 1 minute 23.583. Interestingly, over the whole lap, Jim Mew is on a very similar pace to Sean Trainer, just a few hundred slower. But it's down the Old Hairpin where the Trainer car is able to pull away.
Yeah, that's right. And that's a big spin for number 47, just making contact with the barriers there. That's Richard Dales in his Roadster. Now, where was he before all of that? He was in 20, he's now showing in 26th. He was a little bit higher than that, but hopefully he'll be able to, well, get back at least to the pit lane. He's very well positioned to get back there. Some drivers may have continued on, but he's thought, I'd better go and get that checked out.
And some people might have just left the car there as well, and then we'd had a safety car. So well done to Richard. So that means that the race is able to carry on for all his competitors. And it is Trainer that leads then. Again, he pulls away through the corner curves and the old hairpin from the rest, but then they will catch, I'm sure, as the lap goes on. Now it's a battle for sixth, second in Class B between Tim Heron and Crispin Williamson. I was telling you about earlier, the brother of Nick, who was a race winner in the championship. Crispin Williamson's been a front runner in the British Supermoto Championship in the past, which presumably you can't take many of those skills to car racing, but he's driving very well. He's battling with Tim Heron, who it feels like is racing the Toyota Motor Championship since it started. It's been pretty much the case, I think, for Tim, hasn't it? He's always been there or thereabouts.
Yeah, he's been racing for a lot of years in this championship. There he is, going across the line now in 6th position. He is about 2.7 seconds behind the car in front, but only 4/10 ahead of Crispin Williamson just behind him. There is Williamson also involved. There is Andrew Baranowski, who's slotted in between the two of them now in his Roadster. That's the number 10 car, so he has gone up into 7th position ahead of Jeff Howard and Ian Ladbetter, who complete the top 10. But Sean Trainer, this is his stronger part of the circuit. He is getting away again on the exit of the corner, but not to the same extent as he has done in previous laps.
I wonder if he's also coming up the hill with perhaps that slightly bigger capacity engine. Don't think Neil Stratton started, did he, in 84? So perhaps he had a problem in qualifying, and that's meant he's not able to start this race. That's a shame for Neil Stratton, who would have been one of the championship contenders this year.
Yeah, and I think it's a pretty local circuit as well here at Donington Park.
He needs to get from home ready for race 2. It'd be good to see him there. Someone else has had a moment, this time the old hairpin, one of the Roadsters.
Yeah, couldn't quite figure out who that was. We might get an notification in a moment. Tim Heron, all of a sudden we've got two cars, Williamson and Baranowski, right behind him, but here are the leaders. The gap was 8/10 at the beginning of the lap, and it looks like it might be a little bit less than that now as they come through to complete lap number 5. Just under 8 minutes of the race to go, so probably going to be an 11-lap race, I guess. So they've cast the gap down to just under half a second.
And that lap for Jim Hughes, a Roadster Class C lap record, not an overall MR2 Championship lap record, but it's for the class. 1 minute 23.366.
Right, Tim Heron has up the inside from now Andrew Baranowski coming through to try and take 6th position away. Has he done it? I think he has, yes. So Baranowski goes up to 6th place at the expense of the Mark II of Tim Heron, who's now got Crispin Williamson in a similar car right behind him. Meanwhile, Adam Lockwood's lost touch with the top 3 a little bit here, but does have... Oh no, he's got ahead of Andrew Ruffin is what's happened here, hasn't it? He's got ahead of Andrew Ruffin, beg your pardon, and it's Scott Edbrook next to.
Okay, so there's been a few changes for fairly major positions over the last few corners or so. So Adam Lockwood, who's been a champion before, he's there up into 3rd position, as you described there. But Trainers continue to come under pressure. He's had a bit of a moment there as he turned into Coppice. The car tried to break away from him, but using all those years of MR2 racing experience, was able to hold the slide. We're only halfway through the race, though, and if the car is starting to slide around at this point of the race, is that going to give Jim Yu a chance? We saw he set his personal best lap a lap ago, and he's right on the tail of Trainer as they go through the chicane. And now that Andy Ruthall's lost out to Adam Lockwood, he's fallen into the clutches of Scott Edbrook. So whether this is a thing of the cars here, and the Roadsters are coming stronger as the race goes on.
Looks to be that way, doesn't it? Maybe there's something in that. 6.5 minutes or just under that left to go. Sean Trainer leading, Jim Yu in 2nd. That's about 2 seconds back then to Adam Lockwood, Andrew Ruthven and Scott Edbrook, who looked to have a better exit through Hollywood that time. I thought he might get alongside Ruthven through the Craners, but no, he didn't quite make that work. It's quite a bold thing to do in any case. I mean, there is quite a gap back to Baranowski, sort of 5 seconds-ish to Baranowski in 6th position at the moment. But the overall race lead is still up for grabs here. Trainer's held it for quite a few laps now, but Jim Yu just edging ever closer, and maybe the Roadsters just becoming a little bit more drivable than the Mark IIs towards the end of the race.
And we're seeing that again here, aren't we? Because Scott Edbrook is challenging Andy Ruthven up towards Coppice Corner. He was on the inside line. Edbrook had a very good debut season in racing last season. He was always there or thereabouts in the top 6. He had pole at Alton Park in the wet, but the race went a little bit pear-shaped, but a very strong first season of racing for him. So he will be a contender as the year goes on. And is he up into 4th? No, he wasn't able to make that move on Ruthven up at Coppice, but he's right on his tail as they turn their way through the chicane, and Adam Lockwood's been able to pull away from them, and Lockwood's pace is bringing him closer to the lead as he's only a couple of seconds behind now.
Yeah, absolutely right. So could he have something to say about the overall race win? Possibly, possibly not. But he was a good few tons faster than both of the two front runners on the previous lap. But we've probably only got 4 laps to go, including the one that they are now on. Lots of black and white driving standards flags have been shown to various drivers for track limits penalties, as you've been seeing maybe on the live stream, as we're watching Ed Brook get up the inside of Ruthven there. That's for 4th position at the old hairpin, and he has gone through. He's been threatening to do that for a little while now, but we have had the change.
Yes, so Scott Edbrooke's up into 4th position, but he's lost a couple of seconds to Adam Lockwood trying to find a way past, so that might be where he finishes. But I think the grid for race 2 continues to be set by the fastest laps from this race, so for him he can always turn it into a qualifying session now and see if he can get himself up onto the front of the grid for the race later on this afternoon. But firstly he's got to make sure Andy Ruthven doesn't come back at him, because he's not that far behind. This has been a better lap seemingly for Traynor. Down into Roberts they come for lap 8 of this race. They take a lot of curb, don't they, through that first part of the chicane, get very close to the tyre stack. There's a bigger gap between the tyre stack and the cars through the left-handed element of the corner. Good battle for 6 behind, because Andrew Baranowski got past Williamson and Heron. Heron's dropped away, but Crispin Williamson going after Baranowski in that battle for 6th place as well. So some good pairs of racing in the top order in this opening round of the Rogue Motorsport Toyota MR2 Championship. Jim Yu quick through Redgate corner there, and he's on the tail of Sean Traynor as they plummet down the Craner curve for the 9th time in this race. Traynor perhaps a little bit defensive in the middle of the road as they turn into the old hairpin. He's well aware that Jim Yu is there, but we haven't really seen a challenge as of yet from Jim Yu there in 2nd place.
No, absolutely right. And of course, as Josh was saying earlier on, the overall championship is based on overall finishing positions. Although there are separate points tables maintained for the individual classes, the overall championship is on overall finishing positions. So there's no merit in Jim Yu just sitting in behind Sean Traynor if he's got an eye on the overall championship, but surely he must have in this opening round of the season. It's a bit early to perhaps be driving with a championship head on necessarily.
Jim's son Toby, he's only 14, is building his own Toyota MR2 to race in the championship once he turns 16. He's been helping Jim since he was 8, so he's super committed to his dad's racing, and I'm sure he'd been delighted to see how his dad went last year, getting those podiums, finally getting that race victory. And he'll be cheering him on, will Jim's son Toby, and we look forward to seeing him in the championship in a couple of years' time.
Definitely, and let's see if he can beat the old man. That'll be the interesting thing there. A couple of minutes to go in the race.
Change for 6th, Williamson up ahead of Baranowski. So for the first time in a while we've seen a Mark II get ahead of one of the roadsters.
That's right.
And we're going to have lap traffic before the end, because there's a couple of cars just coming down towards the old hairpin just ahead of the leaders, and we're going to get 2 more laps including the one we were on, so that could be a factor in challenge for the lead.
Martin Collins is one of them, I think, is he not? One of those drivers that might be lapped here. Then you can see on screen the 55 car, which is Treyer. Nicolas Treyer, he started at the back of the grid.
Yeah, he's having his first race today. He's from Poland, so a bit of international flavour to 750 Motor Club races today.
We've got a few different continents and countries represented, haven't we? As we're back here watching Ian Ledbetter. Now he's dropped back. He was in the top 10 at one point. He's now behind Aaron Pullen and Owen Thornhill as well. And here is the leading group of cars. They're going past Martin Collins, and that's allowed Jim Yu to really close back into Sean Traynor again. They're about to go on to their final lap of the race.
Traynor got perilously close to that tyre stack, didn't he, into the chicane there. If anything, it's more challenging for Jim Yu, because he's tucked up behind Traynor, can't see where the apex of the corner is. And it's not like you just ride over a curb at the Donington chicane. If you go too tight, you'll clobber one of those tyre stacks, which are pretty unforgiving. So you have to be a little bit careful with that. There's the trailer car, I think, 2 lap now, which they both go up the inside, no problem at all. But Sean Traynor was able to hang on in that sort of bit of jeopardy at the end of the race with the lap traffic. So Jim, you can't use that to challenge. He's going to have to do something a bit else over this final half a lap. He's quicker through the old hairpin, if anything, than Sean Traynor this time. They climb the hill, they go through the left-hander at Schwartz curve up towards McLean. We've seen some challenges at Coppet in this race, so is Jim Yu going to line up Sean Traynor here?
Let's have a look. Climbing out of McLean's then, up towards Coppet for the final time, and then it's just the run down to the chicane. Well, he's not close enough to do anything about it there. Can he stay in the tow down the back straight and make an attack into the final couple of corners? Sean Traynor, 1:23.323, his best lap of the race, just outside the overall and class lap record for these cars. Is he going to take the win though? That's what's more important than the lap record at this point. It looks like he is. Jim Yu following him through more or less the final couple of corners. So it's Sean Traynor, Mark 3 or Mark 2. It doesn't matter. Sean Traynor wins in MR2s here at Donington Park, but only by just over a third of a second from Jim Yu. Adam Lockwood dropped back a bit towards the end, didn't he? He was 4 seconds behind, and then Scott Edbrook took 4th and Andrew Ruthven 5th.
Yeah, Ruthven was caught by Williamson at the end, just 3 tenths between those two, so that was a good battle towards the end. So, a bit like it is sometimes in MR2 race, and it's very close, but not too much happens right at the sharp end of the field. Sean Traynor's just too experienced to allow any mistakes to happen, and even if it is a car he hasn't driven for several seasons, so he is the man of the championship, isn't he? And it's so difficult to beat him.
Yeah, he was very modestly saying, well, if I can just get a couple of class podiums today, that'd be a good result. I don't think anyone else believed him when he said that, though. But he's come away with the win here in the opening round of the season. A bit further back, Andrew Barnowski, he was 7th in the end in the dispute that he had with Crispin Williamson. Tim Howan was 8th, Jeff House 9th, Matthew Welford 10th.
And that's, I think, Welford's first race in 6 or 7 years, so that's sort of a good return to the championship after several years away, and set the personal best lap on the final lap of the race, suggesting he was getting quicker and quicker, and only a second off the fastest lap, so he might be one to look for in race 2.
I think that's the last car over the line as well, just come through. Tim O'Brien in 22nd position. There's Tim Howan, who took 8th position overall.
Just outside the top 10, a couple of people having their first ever race today. Owen Thornhill, he finished 11th, and Steve James was 14th. 2 drivers in their first ever race today, going pretty well midfield, and a nice clean race to start off their racing campaigns.
I'll run you down the top 10 finishers from the Rogue Motorsport Toyota MR2 Championship race. The winner was number 27, Sean Traynor, just about to head down pit lane to have a word with Kieran Mogg. Second place went to number 78, that was Jim Yu. In third position, number 11, Adam Lockwood. 4th was 53, Scott Edbrook. 5th was number 82, Andrew Ruthven. 6th was 77, Crispin Williamson. 7th was number 10, that was Andrew Barnowski. 8th was number 9, Tim Howan. 9th was number 7, Jeff Howarth. And 31, Matthew Welford, rounded out the top 10 at the end of 11 laps of racing in the Rogue Motorsport Toyota MR2 Championship. They have another race later on this afternoon.